We are live. Surprise, surprise. We're one day late, about 30 minutes late, but we are here. Got my partner in crime back with me. So again, surprise, surprise, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube for this week's Flippinar, officially show number 12. Let me grab the link here, Ada, so I can get you on. But welcome. We missed you last week.
Aww.
And it was a little raggedy because of me and my inability to produce and answer questions and all of that. So we got my girl back. I was just going to wait till next week, and she said, no, we're going to do it. So, hey, here we are. So you can go to flippinar.com now, Adrian, and get over there. Okay. But share this. A lot of you all probably, it's Friday, so not the normal Thursday night. You might be out and about. You may miss this, but you will have an opportunity to see the actual replay. So again, we are here to answer your questions. So you can go ahead and get over to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram and ask your questions, and we will be happy to answer them. So surprise, surprise, we do have a live Flippinar going on right now. Now, if you see this later, all you have to do is just scroll down on YouTube or whatever, and you'll see that it ain't live anymore, but it only can be live when it's live. So, but anyway, announce from where you're located, and we can start loading the questions. You can ask questions on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Adrian will take care of the YouTube and the YouTube and the Facebook, and I'll try to handle the if we get any questions on the ground. So what's up, AP?
Nothing much, man. Just trying to stay dry. This weather around here is, woof.
Okay, yeah, well, same way here, 45, 50 minutes away from you. So, but again, we're here. We got anything in the mix already?
Miss Vanessa is on Facebook shouting out. We got Anthony from Houston, Texas. We got somebody from St. Pete, Florida. So yeah, we're rocking and rolling. We got some people coming in.
Okay, good. While we're waiting on people to load questions, if this is the first time seeing me, which I'm pretty sure it probably isn't if you're watching us live. But I have 200 plus videos on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and do a search for the Flip Man, or you can simply go to flipman.net and you'll see a banner there that will give you access to the channel. So, and also if you need coaching or courses or whatever, if the free videos are not enough, I do offer that as a paid option. So again, welcome. Surprise, 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 like Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise. We're live on a Friday night. Adrian pushed it, so here we are. She said, let's do it. Let's give the few people that follow us what we want. So we want to try to keep you guys healthy. Happy. So again, what we got? We don't have anything yet.
Yeah, we got some questions. We got shot. Okay, let's get it started. Saying what's up to Kenneth Lopez. These on YouTube. We got Louisiana, we got Texas, but our first question is going to be from Texas Twin on YouTube, and he asks, do you have better results with 9x12 signs in shopping centers or 18x24 signs at stoplights and freeway entrances?
Well, I use not 12x18s. I actually use 9x24, which that's the same square footage as 12x18 if my math is right. The 9x24 looks more like a billboard. It's a more of a rectangular shape. I don't have one in here I can show you, but if you go to any of my videos, I had a more recent video that I posted where you can see the size of that sign, but I use those because I don't do stakes in the ground and I don't do light poles anymore. I strictly do cable ties, which those will wrap around stop signs, no parking signs, yield signs. You get the picture. Those poles are only maybe like this. And so a 14-inch cable tie, you punch 2 holes. Well, you punch 4 holes, 2 at the top, 2 in the bottom area, middle area. and you wrap the sign around. It gives you so much flexibility on where you can actually place signs. So 9x24 is my preference, but all work. You know, I'm a big believer in action, so something is better than nothing.
All right. We're going to go to Facebook with Mr. Steve Corbin from St. Pete, Florida. He asked, at what point do you pull records to check liens?
Okay, at what point do we pull records to check liens? Well, that's in the actual title process, which the title company is going to normally handle that. So normally, especially with someone starting out, you wait until you actually get a buyer, and you can really let them initiate it, because a lot of times they're going to dictate who does that anyway, you know, who they're comfortable with or who they already have a relationship with. Not always, but a lot of times. So wait till you get a buyer under contract. You muted.
Give me a minute, team. I'm getting a lot of feedback. One moment.
While we're waiting on Adria, I guess I can, if I see something in, I'll read it out here on Facebook. I see one on Facebook. All right, Quintel Green, how does stellar financing benefit the motivated seller? How does it benefit the wholesaler? Well, if you can set up terms, attractive enough terms, that can be attractive to not only an actual investor, but someone that may want to live in the house. So depending on how attractive the terms are now, depending on the level of motivation of the seller, that may be a solution for them. But in some cases, maybe not. So you're back with us, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm back. I apologize, guys. I had a pop-up that just went crazy and it was playing music, and I don't think you wanted to hear what it was playing. My bad.
Okay. All right. So what we got? I just read one off Facebook, the last one from Quintel Green. I read that one from him.
Okay. Sydney on YouTube asks, hey Ty, what do you usually wear when you go on seller appointments?
Well, I wouldn't wear this t-shirt because it says my side chick graduated to Mrs. But I would wear something similar to this, you know, just normal clothes. You know, that's the great thing about it. I'm not a suit and tie guy. I hate wearing a tie. I hate wearing a suit. Only just totally when it's necessary. So I'll just, you know, just whatever you normally wear, you know, that's it. I learned that from the very first deal. The girl I was dating at the time, she was like, you don't think you need to wear a tie or something? I say, nah, these guys showed, you know, the buyers, I mean, they showed to the closing is what she was talking about. These guys showed up in flip-flops and tank tops, and that's how they showed up at the closing. So, you know, so I knew then, you know, I said, man, this is the business for me, because I don't have to dress up. I don't have to look quote unquote professional. That does not define whether you have money or not. Not in this business, it doesn't.
All right. Sticking with YouTube, we have a question from Alameda Bradley. What would be the advantage if someone worked with an acquisition company?
Well, you would treat them, in my opinion, you know, I guess you could do it however you want, but I would treat them just as a cash buyer, you know, no different. If you find something that fits what they're looking for, you let them know about it. Other than that, but you're not going to be an employee of theirs, you know, it's just another buyer. That's the way I would view them. And if I find something that fits what they look, I'll let them know about it. They want it, they don't, you know, I'm not going to be dependent on them.
Okay, Mr. Gary Jackson on Facebook says that the live comment box is disabled on YouTube. Refresh your screen, Gary, because everyone else is commenting. You might have to
Yeah,
scroll
you just need to
down.
refresh your screen, Gary. If you're on a laptop or PC, should be just what is it, FN5, I think. Or it just depends on what you're using, a browser or whatever. You just need to refresh your screen more than likely.
Okay. Albert Styles on Facebook. What if you have a good deal and they require proof of funds and you're just starting out in real estate investing? Where can you get proof of funds with little money?
Well, I recommend the service that I use. It's realpof.com. You can get access. It's following the instructions. But if you're dealing with private sellers, proof of funds is normally not needed. Normally, that's just a deal breaker where I'm dealing just with a private individual asking for proof of funds. In most cases, that means you don't have the deal you think you have anyway when dealing with houses. When a private seller asks for proof of funds, motivated sellers don't talk like that. Now, real estate agents do. They're going to want that to take you serious. So if that's who you're dealing with, then you're going to need proof of funds in order for them to take you serious as far as your offers in most cases.
All right. We got shout outs from New York City, Orlando, Arizona,
New York City,
Texas. Yeah, pace. Let's go with a question on YouTube. Steve Lee says, Flipman, how do you calculate the price of repairs before you see the property? But you need to make an offer over the phone.
All right. Before I answer that question, I'm going to answer one from Instagram. Don't know the handle, can't pronounce the handle. But what's up, Ty? Do you use the same contract you provide for the buyer and seller? Yeah, you can, but sometimes your buyer will want to use their own contract, which is fine as long as the terms are in your favor. If you want to see how I fill out a contract for buyers and sellers, just simply go to YouTube, to my channel, and you can access that. What was that question again?
The question was, how do you calculate the price of repairs before you see the property, but you need to make an offer over the phone?
Well, I like to use the number just 15,000. It may not be enough in some cases. It may be an over estimate, which is fine also. You're not going to agree to anything over the phone. Now, you may talk about a price and the price may work for you or be in the ballpark of working for you, but definitely you use 15,000, you can use 20,000, you can use 10,000, just whatever you prefer. My number is just 15,000. So as I said, sometimes it may not be enough, may not be enough, but whenever you go out and inspect the house, then you'll know. But again, it's rare, but I'm normally not even going to go out and view a house unless the price works over the phone, normally.
All right. Mr. Roy Fluffhead Kennedy on Facebook asks, well, he doesn't ask, he says he just got a list of over 56 single family homes under contract. He says he's never dealt in this volume. What would be a good systematic way to keep everything organized?
All right, let me read this question because this is a good one. Especially living in the South, have you ever received different treatment from motivated sellers when he or she realizes you're an African American? Once you meet in person, how do you handle it? Well, it's amazing. And I guess even people that live in the South or whatever, I don't know what your perception may be or whatever, but what reality is, racism is everywhere, but to answer the question, man, these people do not care, man. The house, matter of fact, a student of mine, I think he's in Virginia. He's the one prospected this particular, contacted this particular seller from a list that I provided him, and they're white, if you want to just use the actual race or whatever. And well, you know what? No, they're not. I think the wife is, but the husband, he's Middle Eastern. But anyway, all the time, the last deal I did was with, probably the last 3 deals I've done were with Caucasians or white people. So you're overthinking it. They do not care. When they're motivated to sell, they want that green money. That's the only thing that matters. Now, if you don't sound like you know what you're talking about, I don't care if you're black or white, they're not going to want to deal with you, period. That's why it's important. You at least need to know what you're talking about, if nothing else. So what was that question again?
Okay. He had a question. He said he had 56 deals under contract, and he needed a suggestion on a systematic way to keep them organized.
56?
That's what Roy said, 56.
Under contract?
Under contract.
Tell him he needs to explain that in a little more detail. I don't.
All right, Roy, if you're listening on Facebook, he said, yes, sir, 56.
Do you have 56 buyers ready to go, or maybe one? It doesn't matter. Do you have buyers ready to go for those 56 properties you have under contract?
His response was, hit me up.
You hit me up. That's what you do. Hit me up. My number is everywhere, so hit me up. Anyway, all right, so what we got? What else we got? Hit me up, Roy.
All right, we have a question going to YouTube. Courtney James asks, when I get the property tax delinquency list, what should I do next?
Well, the way I would use it is there's a level of motivation. There should be, from enough of them, a level of motivation that if they haven't paid the bill, to pay the taxes on the property. So with that being said, you reach out to them, either by mail or phone. And the numbers will just play out at that point.
Okay. Sticking on YouTube, Larry Lamar says, this is the best show ever. Thanks, Ty, for sharing your knowledge. Shout out, Larry. Thank you. Hopefully.
Oh boy, not the best show ever. Wow. I'm glad we were able to bring it to you guys tonight. Hey, like I say, Adria pushed it. I was like, we'll just go ahead and do it next week. She's like, nah, let's do it. I already made it to my studio, so let's get it.
All right. On Facebook, Gary asks, have you ever been in the position where you sent several cash buyers to your deal and it's in great condition, but nobody wants to buy it, or your buyers are too picky, or they try to shoot a very low ball offer to you? So have you ever had to lower your price very cheap to take what you can get to close and move on?
Yeah, before I do that, I'll just explain why we were not on last night. There was an internet outage in the area where I live, and I called the people and they told me that. Well, the automated system told me that. Then I got a representative on the phone and she didn't say anything about that. So I should have asked her, but I didn't. And so I went out and bought another router and everything, and time just ran out. So that's what happened last night. Just had an internet outage. It didn't come up until probably like an hour after the show would have started. So, okay, but to answer this question, yeah, if you're asking too much, and if there tends to be a lot of interest in the property, but no one is biting, in the sense that they are making offers, but it's just that simple. Yeah, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Don't be greedy. I was watching this show, Snowfall. I recommend it to anyone on FX on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. I think this one, 9 p.m. Central. But the young man, long story short, his friend was asking, it was back in the 80s, he was working in this convenience store making $3 an hour. And his female friend was like, why are you working in this store making this little money? Why don't you go to this party with me? And he was like, hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second.
Well, hi, guys. Y'all are stuck with me. Go ahead and continue posting your questions on YouTube and Facebook. Roy, I see the update to your question there, and I will add.
I got it. We in. But anyway, so he was like, no, I'm not working for $3 an hour. He's paying me $3 an hour to run a business. And so my point is that sometimes you have to take a hit on the price of a property just because you may have overestimated for it. And as far as what you put it out there for, overprice it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But if you can close on it. You know, the way I look at it, that buyer just paid me to be on my buyer's list to let me know that he's serious. The least I've ever made on a deal was $500. The actual last deal I did was only $1,000. So, you know, I overpriced it, you know, so it is what it is. I split it with another wholesaler, but it is what it is.
All right. Going back to Roy, who had the 56 houses, he was asking, was there a systematic way? Because he said it's one owner that owns all 56 single-family homes.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, so it's one owner, not 56 separate deals, but one owner with 56 properties that he's working on. And I guess he's trying to figure out how to keep that organized if he's going to be pitching it to different buyers.
Well, number one, you got to do the due diligence on all of those properties first. And now it still boils down to whether it's 56 or one house. Is it a great deal? You know, so that has to be determined first. Just because he wants to sell doesn't make it a great deal. So assuming that it's a great deal, you're going to have the due diligence done on each one of those houses, just like their individual houses. And so you can have that packaged up for potential buyers, because I'm assuming that's going to be a 6-figure, possibly a 7-figure deal. So, you know, so it starts there. You're going to have to treat each one of them that way. Now, as far as how you would organize it, you would just have data sheets on each one of them. And, you know, as much history and much data as you can on the properties. I'm assuming these are rentals, and you can't treat it like multifamily, but part of it you will have to treat like multifamily because it'll be sold in a package. I'm assuming that's the only way the deal will go down. Let me read this one from my Instagram. When the sellers wants to sell you the property, how do I go about approaching them with a purchase and sales agreement, and do I have to let them know I'm wholesaler? No, you never get into that you're a wholesaler with an actual seller, for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's not important. Number two, just like you're still trying to struggle to understand it, and you probably spend hours on it. Imagine trying to explain this to someone in 5 minutes. They're not going to want to deal with you. You know, it's just really that simple. Now, as far as sending them a contract, that's part of course. Normally, most people have email in this day and age. Even people, my mama has email. She has email. Everybody got it. And so, and she's 76, 77, something like that. So you just email them the contract. You know, you email them the contract with the terms. You know, if you're using my contract, it's not intimidating. It's just one page, and you're buying it as is. So that eliminates a lot of the issues that a lot of contracts will have as far as inspection periods and all that stuff or whatever. But you just simply email them the contract, and if they have questions, you answer the questions. But it's no big deal. You know, they bought the house, and more than likely a contract was used to buy the house. So it's not like they're not unfamiliar with it in most cases. So you just submit the contract either by email or you put it in their hand. You just let them know after you viewed the property, and if you all agreed on a price, you can send it by email, or you meet somewhere and put it in their hands.
All right. Mr. Peterkin wants to know, how do you find the ARV on land?
Good question. In most cases with land, if you don't have a lot of data to go by, which in a lot of cases in a lot of situations that may be the case, you just got to go by what the assessed value is from the county or the city or the state, however it's done, wherever you live. That's the only thing that I would be able to go by. Now, sometimes that will be tremendously off, whether good or bad, but if you don't have a lot of data to go by, that's probably going to be what you're going to need to use. Now, with land, and I'm just assuming this because I haven't dealt in a lot, and it's a different animal. is that whereas normally with houses, you just go back a year, and that's 12 months is a good time to be able to use as comps as far as a range. Normally, you want to try to be within 90 days or closer if possible, or 6 months or closer. But with land, you could probably go back 2 or 3 years and it wouldn't be an issue if you're trying to evaluate what the property may be worth.
Okay. Nita wants to know, could you explain a foreclosure wholesale deal?
Well, I'm assuming that if you mean the bank already owns the property and is now an REO, which is a real estate owned, is what that means. Dealing with a bank now, they're going to dictate a lot of it's not like they're going to be like a seller where you're going to dictate how things work. The bank is going to dictate some of the closing process, and they're not going to allow an assignment. And I guess they can't prevent a double close, but your title company / buyer is going to have to work with you on that. Some people say you set it up in an LLC and you can sell the LLC. You're going to have to, the biggest thing with dealing with a foreclosure, because it's not like they're secrets. It's not like they're advertised everywhere online or whatever. So you're going to have a buyer that what I consider is lazy, because it's not like the foreclosures are secrets. So this is something that they could have bidded on themselves. See, as a wholesaler, you can find properties online and be able to find buyers, so don't get me wrong, but your value is only as good as how, number one, a great of a deal you negotiate, locking that property up, and then finding a buyer that is willing to go through you if something is already advertised online, because some buyers don't like doing that if it's something they feel they could have gotten themselves. But that's the great thing about it. Those are not the only buyers out there. So dealing with a foreclosure, long story short, understanding you're dealing with you have a realtor involved, you have the bank involved, and it's just not going to be a clean and cut assignment fee. There's going to have to be some type of transactional funding and or some form of double close, which your title company and or buyer is going to have to be able to facilitate that. Now, again, transitional funding can work, but you got to have a buyer ready to go on that. So that's how that would be handled. So, and the other thing is that earnest money, they're not going to play this cat and mouse game of $10 or $100 in most cases. They're going to want at least $1,000, and they're going to want proof of funds. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with banks and or realtors are going to be involved with those also. But foreclosures are not secret. So that's the standard. I know people hear that word and they just think like, hey, I'm the only one knows about this. No, they're advertised to the world.
All right. Do we have any questions on Instagram before I go to Facebook?
No, I answered it. I answered the last one.
All right. Mr. Collins on Facebook asks, what's the best way to approach a property listed with a realtor, but you like to wholesale it?
Say that again. Read that one again.
The property is already listed with a realtor, but he would like to wholesale it.
It's somewhat what I just explained. In the sense that dealing with a realtor, understand that you playing a different ball game, but at the end of the day, if they don't want to do it the way you want to do it, you can move on. But they're going to want earnest money. All right, they're going to want proof of funds. So if you can jump those hurdles, then you can put a deal together. On top of that, again, now depending on your buyer that you have, you're not, in most cases, you're not going to be able to advertise this property like you would if it was a private seller, because if it's a listed property, it's already being advertised. So you're going to have the right type of buyer to deal with it that won't try to go behind your back and let the realtor know, hey, they're trying to shop this property before they even buy it. But you have guys that'll do that. You just have some haters out there like that. So so keep all of that in mind, but it can be done. But number one, you're going to need earnest money. Normally $500 to $1,000 or more, and you're going to need proof of funds. Also, you're going to have to negotiate an option where you can gain access to the actual property also. So.
All right. New Life on YouTube has a question. If someone wants to JC a deal, what's the best way? I ask because I have a seller and they have a home under contract, but they want to wholesale it to me so I can wholesale it to my buyer.
Wait a minute now. The actual owner wants to wholesale it to them?
I have a seller who has a home under contract, but they want to sell it. So it sounds like she's dealing with another wholesaler.
Yeah, it sounds like you're dealing with another wholesaler. So if you're dealing with another wholesaler, some ways to go about that. I'm normally not in that position where I'm trying to find a buyer for someone's deal, but I have done it before, but not that many. But to answer your question, it still boils down to me. They got to do it the way I want to do it, you know. So either the wholesaler and myself will either split 50-50, or they give me a bottom line price. I put it on the contract, and whatever I make over that amount. So I don't consider that a JV in a sense, you know. But I know that's a popular term, so I throw it out there because that's what people use or whatever. But that's how I would do it. I still got to control it, no different if I was dealing with the seller. Either we're going to do 50-50, or they're just going to give me a bottom line price, and whatever I make above that, I roll with. But I'm putting it on the contract. So some wholesalers may not let you do that, you know, to lock up their property. So.
All right. Steve on Facebook wants to know, do you ever have a seller get upset at the closing table that you are walking away with a check? And how do you handle that?
Well, of all the deals I've done over the 14 plus years I've been doing it, that's only happened once, and we still closed it. And she was just being greedy. She had already gotten the money that she was going to get because it took 6 months to close the deal. And she just didn't like that my partner and I had on the deal. We were making more than she did, but we still closed it. So, but it really never has happened to me, you know. So, but if it did, I'm not even sure what I would do in reality. I don't know. It's never happened, you know. Guys, you're overthinking it. Get to that point and worry about that's one of them good problems. Everybody's happy on closing day. Seller, buyer, closing attorney, and you, especially you. It just doesn't work that way. So even the deal that the lady was upset, we still closed it. She didn't want to leave that table without any money. It was a Friday. She wanted some bread. You know, we closed it. So what we got?
All right. Ralphie has to get back to work in 5 minutes. So he says he'll be quick. He just wanted to know, where can he get an assignment contract?
All right, what can you get? Assignment contracts now? I'm not sure how many of my videos you watch, man, but I don't actually use an assignment contract per se. I do assignment deals by using two purchase and sales agreement. Contract A with the seller may be $15,000. Contract B with the buyer may be $22,000. So I get the difference of $7,000, but it's done on the actual HUD-1 statement, which is basically the detailed statement that shows what the buyer is paying, what the seller is paying, who's getting what, and it'll have my name, Ty Taylor, assignment fee $7,000. Now, if an assignment fee is needed, the closing attorney or title company will let you know. Either they'll want you to create one, or they'll just create one at the closing table, and you and this buyer just sign it. Now, if you just want to use one, Google is your friend. And I have a video where I show how to fill one out, but you know, so. Just one from Instagram. How have you built your buyers list, brother? Man, this is from Instagram. You let your deals build your buyers list. Focus on finding great deals, and buyers are easy. You may have 10 people call you on a particular property. You can only sell it to one. The other 9, you're going to collect their information for future deals. And what I mean by their information, obviously their contact information, name, phone number, maybe an email address, and what areas they like to buy in, how many they like to buy per month, what price range, the minimum number of beds and baths, what level of repairs they like to deal with. And so, boom. So you let your great deals build your buyers list. Don't even worry about buyers. Find a great deal. That's the hard part. Buyers are easy. It's not hard to give away money. That's what you're dealing with buyers. With sellers, you're getting someone to give you money. That's difficult. So, in equity is what I mean. So you spend your time trying to find great deals, and the rest will take care of itself.
All right. Sticking with YouTube. If a realtor brings you a cash buyer, how do you pay them commission? Through an assignment or at closing if possible. Have you ever been in that situation?
Yeah, if a realtor brings you a buy, and that has happened, you negotiate whatever you're going to pay them, whether it's a percentage or just a flat fee. It's not going to be an assignment. They don't get paid that way. They're going to get paid either a commission of the transaction based on the sales price or just a flat fee. So you have to negotiate that with the realtor.
Okay. Hello, Erica from the Inland Empire in California. We're going to go ahead and answer this question, Ty, because I have it from California, Texas, Arizona. They ask, is wholesaling good in their market area?
I have a video on that topic. And the gist of the video is, I'll ask you all some questions. Do people die in your city?
It's a standard answer. You say it every time. First one.
Do people die in your city? Do people lose their jobs or loss of income? Do people get sick with medical bills that they can't afford? Do people get divorced in your city? All right. Do people relocate from your city? Do you think you have tired landlords in your city? Do you think you have individuals, whether it's parents or grandparents, that have kids going off to college and the tuition is too much and they have a house they want to liquidate? I know the answer is yes to all of those questions. So that means wholesaling will work in your city. It is your job to let them know you exist, because those problems and more create motivated sellers. So your job as a wholesaler, you're really a marketer. Your job is to let them know you exist. Banner signs, direct mail, internet, social media, whatever, cold calling, however you want to do it. But your job is to let them know you exist. So yes, wholesaling will work in your city. I am no smarter than you are. Trust me. Where I live is no better. Now, in some cases, it may be bigger as far as the market, but there's a lot of cities a lot bigger than the Birmingham, Alabama. I've just taken some very old information and put it into action, and you can do the same. Let me read this one from Instagram. Now, somebody posted one on Instagram and scrolled up, so you may want to repost it. But can I call my local appraiser's office to get contact information of potential sellers? How would you approach a closed friend via Facebook? I'm positive the owner is out of state. As far as the appraiser's office, I'm not sure about that. I don't know what you would be looking for in particular. You say a seller's contact information. There are too many other sources on that. The appraiser really wouldn't have any more access to that information than you would. That if it's a what am I trying to say? The tax bill has to go somewhere. So that's counter information unless you're in an undisclosed state or whatever they call it, where that information is not public. How would you approach a close friend via Facebook? I'm positive the owner is out of state. I'm not sure what they mean on that. You may want to repost that. So what we got?
Okay. Ty, I put my first property under contract last month with an after repair value of $105,000. It was under contract for $45,000. It needed about $15,000 in repair. He asked for $48,000, bringing them to an all $63,000. Why did no one buy?
Okay, before I answer that question, how many banner signs this is from Instagram, how many banner signs should you put out? As many as you can afford, but I would say a good number is at least 50 a week. That's a good number. If you can afford to do that, that is a really good number, because you're going to always be putting them out. So if you can get up to 50 a week, that's even if you only did 10 a day over a 5-day week, which is 7 days out, but over a 5-day week, that will start to compound, and you will see some serious results once you got above probably 150 signs. And if the majority of them are still out. Now on that deal, you said 105,000 ARV, 45,000 on the contract, and he and what did he promote it at? 48,000.
48.
Wow, either one or two things, or a combination of both. Either the ARV is wrong, or you didn't do a good job of letting people know that house existed. That should have been an opportunity for you to make money. It really just boils down to that.
All right. Thanks for answering that, Ty. We have Mr. Wilson on YouTube says he found a duplex for sale. He wants to know, how do I solve the ARV on that if there are only houses in the area? There's no other duplexes around.
Well, you're going to pretty much use houses as your measuring, I guess, stick or whatever. So that's what I would do. That would be on the safe side of it. That would be conservative, because duplex is just not everywhere. In a lot of some markets, they're everywhere, but in a lot of markets, they're rare. So I would just use houses as the measuring stick, even though that's an income producing property. So use houses. You can't go wrong on that, because it is an income producing property, and you can get it if you can get it under a contract, assuming that it was a house and it was a great deal for a house, then you'll hit a home run. So I'll just use houses in the area. Someone from Instagram, any tips when it comes to negotiating with the seller, especially when you know it will be a low ball compared to what they're expecting? Well, my goal whenever I'm negotiating with a seller, first, I'm always going to ask them, paying all cash, closing quickly, what's the least amount you'll accept? Fine. My goal is always to, type. Bless you.
Thank you.
My goal is always to try to get them to give me their least amount. Now, sometimes that's not going to be accomplished. They're going to force you into making an offer. So the rule of thumb on that is make a ridiculous offer, something that you're just totally embarrassed and shamed about, and you're not expecting them to accept it, and they may hang up on you. That's fine. You didn't have a deal anyway. But if they say, no, I can't take that, blah, 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 you're ridiculous. So your follow-up question will be, what would the follow-up question will be, Adrian? You don't know. Well, how close can you come to that amount? How close can you come to that amount? So, so that's it. So from there, whatever amount they give you, I probably will still say, is that the best you can do? And it's just a numbers game from there. Either the numbers work or they don't. There's no magic wand that the flip man is waving to get deals. It's just a numbers game. If I talk to enough people, I'm going to do enough deals. It's that simple. Understand, most won't, but enough will. The majority of people that you talk to will want more than what makes sense for you.
All right. Iman asked on YouTube, how can someone get started without wholesaling? I'm sure she means with wholesaling, without good credit. How can someone get started wholesaling without good credit? Do you need credit?
Okay, before I answer that, back to Instagram. How does your coaching program work? A great question from Instagram. A great question. It simply works is that you get 2 courses, step-by-step, wholesaling houses and apartments without using your cash or credit. And they're step-by-step, even though the videos on YouTube are detailed and they tell you everything you need to know, but the videos on YouTube, it's over 200. Those are a puzzle. And there's very little about wholesaling houses there. I mean, apartments there. It's all 98% of it is wholesaling houses. But you get the course, it's step-by-step. You'll be ready to go knowledge-wise. You could be within a day, within a few hours. But really what you're paying for is access to me and my 14 plus years of experience. I don't have a schedule. I know a lot of these cats out here, I'm not hating on them, just telling you what I hear. You know, you can email them once a month and then they answer your question or whatever, but I don't have a schedule. I answer the phone 7 days a week for my students. Obviously, I have a little life. Obviously, I have a business that I run, but I'm not hard to reach. So when you need me, I'm going to be there to help you. Now, with that being said, I have had some conflict with some people, and I'm not talking about anyone. I am not a cheerleader. If I do not know you need help, if you don't let me know you need help, I will not know you need help. If that's what you're looking for, a motivation speaker, that is not me. I can be motivating, in the sense, but I don't know that you need motivation unless you know. I'm like a doctor. The doctor does not know you're sick unless you come into his office to let him know that you're sick. Treat the flip man the same way if you become a student. Thank you for this service announcement. So what was the question?
Just do a little bit of house cleaning. I think you'll answer it. But she asks, how could she get into wholesaling without having good credit?
Okay, without having good credit, that's the great thing about wholesaling. It is irrelevant. You can have a 450. I sound like a tape recorder. People that follow me, y'all they say this crazy stuff all the time. But I'm gonna say it. It doesn't matter if you have a 450 credit score or an 850 credit score, $1 in the bank or 1 million in the bank. It will be irrelevant when it comes to putting a deal together. Now, getting to that deal, getting to a deal may cost you a few $100s. And I really mean a few hundred, like $200 to maybe $400 for some marketing, but you don't even have to do that. If you're a gator, it can pound out calls from just research and whatnot. So your credit is irrelevant because your buyer is supplying, your cash buyer is funding the deal. So your cash situation or your credit situation will be irrelevant. You are taking advantage of the knowledge of understanding the power of a contract, which gives you equitable interest, and you are basically wholesaling that equitable interest. Another way of putting it, someone would simply be buying your contract. Someone will actually be buying your actual contract that you've negotiated with the seller. So that's why your credit or cash will not matter. What was her name?
I think it's already scrolled up now. I've lost it.
Whatever your name was, doll, I'm sorry. Dive into my free videos. I go into all of that information. And then keep joining us on these Flippinars, and I'll be happy to answer your questions if we can get to them. You know, so boom, you don't need credit. Let me go to back to the gram. You may have to repost your message. One of them scrolled up. Colin says, how much does your course program cost? But you asked some good questions. You sound like an awesome coach. Hey, that's what's happening from the gram. Go to flipman.net and you can see the current price. I don't want to quote it here because people will see this replay later on YouTube and Facebook, and they'll be like, you said, and the video 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? So just go there for current prices, flipman.net.
Okay.
We had a question.
I think this might have been the question that you were trying to answer on Instagram about the question is, I need some help, Ty. How do I make a pitch to a seller I already have? I think maybe a buyer, because Kevin, clean that up, because earlier I thought you said to a buyer that you know, maybe like a friend or something. I'll let you clean that one up and then I'll come back to it. But we do have Mr. Peterkin, who has a property in Pennsylvania. He states that the after repair value is $34 million and it's in beautiful condition, and he's asking for 15. Is that too high?
What? He said 15 and 34 million?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, that's a deal. If those numbers are correct, that's a 7-figure wholesale deal, which I've never done before. That's a deal. That's 50%.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, I know that type of residential property is in the state of Pennsylvania, but what do I know? So yeah, to answer, is he asking, is that a deal, or what is he asking?
He's asking, is that a deal?
That's a smoking deal. One of the best I've ever heard. That's a smoking deal. Make it happen.
Let's see here. Facebook, Rita asked, could you post more recorded seller calls?
I didn't think people like those.
She does.
I'll try to do that. That's how I actually now whenever a seller calls me, I have two cell phones, or one of them was asking that Instagram. But I have two cell phones, so I use one of them to record the conversation so I can go back to it and I can hear the tone of, you know what I'm saying, all of that or whatever. So I have tons of them that I could actually post, edit and post. You know, I'll edit out the person's name, the address, all of that or whatever to keep it, I guess, you know, some privacy there. But well, yeah. So, but anyway, so I get, you know, if others want it, you know, I'll roll with it. But I didn't think a lot of people like those. I don't think the views are really that high on those particular calls. Maybe I didn't title them right or something. So.
Well, you actually have. Rita said, of course. She said, yes, ma'am. They benefit her. But someone else on YouTube said to them as well, seller calls are educational. And Pashan says, yes, me too. So obviously it's wanted, Ty.
I'll make it happen then. Y'all, hey, that's what's up.
Oh, there's another one. Okay, y'all, we got it. Let's see here. So scrolling back up, Nikki says, hey, Flipman, if a motivated seller wants to sell their house for $150,000 and that's what it's worth, but owes $75,000 on the actual house, what should we get it for?
Well, I think what they're saying is that they want one. It's worth 150 and they want 150. I think that's what they're saying, if I understood it correctly. Okay. If it's worth 150 and they want 150, and even though they only owe 75, which would be a deal if you could get it at 75 or something close to that, it's rare someone is going to come down that low. But you know what? Offers are free. Make the offer. And they can only say yes or no. So you can offer them 80 and see what they say. If they reject it, what's the follow-up question, Adrian?
What is the least amount that you
No,
I'm wrong.
I just said it. I said if I make the offer 80 and they reject it,
I don't know.
How close can you come to that amount?
Well, that's what I just said. It's the same thing. I just worded it different. Do you guys agree with me? I think they agree with me, Ty. Okay. I would have got the same result. All right. Kishonda wants to know, do you have advice on professional or personal development as an investor?
I'm a very flawed individual. So I can tell you what not to do. Make sure when you're making money with this, that you're a good steward with your money. And as much as we want to share with family members on what we're doing, that's not always a good thing. You have to understand the dynamic of your family. You can help them. I'm not saying I don't help because I help mine a lot, you know, whatever. But, and I hope ain't none of them watching this, but, you know, well, that's tough, man, because everybody's situation is different or whatever. It's just different. But the thing about it is that, every day my day great, because I've had some bad times, and since I've been doing real estate investing. So, and then when all your money is gone or it's low or whatever situation, it's rare you can call those individuals and get anything out of them. So you have to always keep that in mind. Not that you're doing something to get something in return, but you want to make sure that you're good. You know what I'm saying? So, just on the business side of it, I always say this, obviously, is just don't be afraid to make a mistake. Get in the game, make it happen, man. It's that's the great thing about it, is that if you make a mistake, it normally doesn't cost you money. Normally just the marketing money that you spend, and the lesson that you will learn is more valuable than anything that I can teach you when you experience it for yourself. So back to the gram, let me read this one. If I'm intending to wholesale a property and the seller wants a proof of funds up front, how do I get around that? I sort of answered that before, but I'll answer it quickly. If a seller wants proof of funds, normally you probably don't have a deal. Motivated seller, I say a great deal. Motivated sellers just don't talk like that. Realtors, that's part of course. That's normal for them. But just motivated sellers just normally just don't deal that way when you're talking about houses or whatever. If they want proof of funds. Now, you can provide because there's so many free services, not free, so there's so many services out there, such as realpof.com, that you can get proof of funds, but you want to check your numbers on that deal because normally motivated sellers just don't request that type of information.
All right, Brandon Paul has posted this a few times, so I'll ask. It'll be one of our "Is it a deal?" questions of the night. He says he has a property with an ARV of 58,238. It's a fire damaged property, and he has it under contract for 10,766. He says, is that a good offer?
It's a fire damaged property?
It is a fire damaged property.
Now, depending on the fire damage, but it doesn't take much. 10 grand gonna be too much for a property that's worth, you were gonna say 59,000. Mm-hmm. That's too much. You got to get that property like 2 or 3 grand and hope to make 2 or 3 grand in most cases, because you could easily spend $40,000 rehabbing a fire damaged property, just with all the inspections the guy has to go through, depending on your market or whatever. Those are some difficult rehabs, and again, it depends on how bad of a fire damaged property that it is.
Okay, Gary asks, do you use the calculate the quick ARV in 60 seconds technique you demonstrated on your old video, or do you still use your sites like Zillow, HomeSnap, or e-appraisals to come up with a quick ARV or to check comps? He says the 60 second, then half of the ARV seems it works better in my opinion. So,
all right, you're gonna have to reread that, but let me read this one from Instagram. Having a hard time getting that first deal, more like stuck at this info from every which way and stuck. How do I get out of the starter's rut? Without knowing how much volume you're dealing with as far as how many sellers you're interacting with on a daily basis, I really couldn't tell you, but that's what it's going to all boil down to, is how effective of a marketer you are, how many sellers you're talking to on a daily basis. That's the name of the game. You know, I'm doing more now than I probably ever have done, which is hurting other parts of my business, but other things I want to do. But I got a little goal I want to try to accomplish where I can get a little bit more of a turn it over to some people like Adria and my sister, or whatever, to help me a little bit more than what I'm doing. So, and I can get more into the commercial side of it. But so to answer your question, you know, it's going to boil down to how many sellers you're talking to, and that starts with how effective of a marketer you are. So without knowing how many you're talking to now, I can't really answer that. Instagram, I'm about to go down here in about 2 minutes, so I'll try to bring it back up. All right, another one from Instagram right quick, Adrian. How to close on a property if it have back taxes? As long as the amount of back taxes are less than the price that you need to work, there's no big deal. You know, and if the seller, you know, understands that if the back taxes are $4,000 and the price that you have on the house is $60,000, as far as the number that they owe, instead of them getting $60,000 at closing, they get $56,000. The $4,000 comes out of their $60,000 at the closing table. So what was that question again that you read, Adrian?
It was from Facebook, and Gary asked, do you use the quick calculate ARV in 60 seconds technique you demonstrated on your old video, or do you still use your sites like Zillow, HomeSnap, or ePraisals to come up with a quick ARV or to check comps? He thinks the 60 second, then half of the ARV seems to work better.
Yeah, that's simple. The formula is not a set in stone deal. It's more or less to keep you from wasting a lot of time on stuff that has no chance of being a deal. And that's more for new people starting out than anything. I did a recent video. It's called Top 3 Ways to Calculate ARV House Values. And I go into more detail and a few more methods using that. So just do a YouTube search for Top 3 Ways to calculate ARV house values, and you'll see that particular video. Question from Instagram. I'll have to bring it back up. It's about to go down in 4, 3, 2, 1. So repost your question. Hold on a second. Let me restart it. All right, but yeah. So just do a YouTube search for that particular video, back live on Instagram. So just repost your question. But just do a search on YouTube, top 3 ways to calculate ARV house values. And you'll see the detailed explanation there.
You got Instagram back up?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. You got a question here from MCB that says, have you ever done probate wholesaling? And if you did you like it better than the typical wholesaling when you did it or not?
I've never targeted probate type properties. That just falls under the umbrella of absentee owners. And so if they're going through that process, then just deal with it. But I've never personally targeted probate. I don't have the organization skills and more importantly, the patience to deal with those. So, and I say you can't make money because people do, but I'm just answering your question. Someone from Instagram says, do you do any direct mail or just vanity signs? Yeah, I do direct mail, but I've taken a different approach on the direct mail, that same list of absentee owners, which you can go to findsellers.net or findowners.net. Instead of trying to mail out to them, I farm for phone numbers. It's quicker. You can actually start generating leads the same day. It's a little tedious process, but it's worth it. So to answer your question, yeah, direct mail does work, but if you go to findsellers.net, you'll see what I'm talking about. Findsellers.net. All right. If you posted a question on Instagram, they may need to repost. Anybody, if you're on Instagram, make sure that you follow me on Instagram. We would definitely appreciate it. It's flipman.net. The .net is spelled out D-O-T-N-E-T. So FLIPMANDOTNET. Flipman.net is the name on my Instagram. So please follow me there. And plus, if you're not already subscribed to YouTube, please subscribe to YouTube and turn on the notifications so you are alerted whenever I upload new videos and when we go live on YouTube, especially on the Thursday night Flippinars at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Now, of course, today is Friday, but we had some issues yesterday. So thank you all for being here. So what we got?
On average, how long does it take for you to find a buyer after you have a deal with the seller?
Sometimes it gets down to the wire, and then sometimes it's the same day. It'll just depend on how attractive the deal is in the area. You know, some areas are going to be a little hotter than others, but a lot of times it just boils down to how great of a deal it is. So sometimes the same day, sometimes the last week before my contract runs out, and everything in between. A question from Instagram, a common question. What do you do if you cannot find a buyer? Very common question. One or two things. You go back to the seller and ask for more time and they give it to you, or you go back to the seller and they do not ask for more time and they do not give it to you. If they don't, you move on. They keep your earnest money, you move on to the next deal. Somebody asked a question on YouTube about vanity sign. I'm sorry, on Instagram about vanity sign. You may need to repost it.
Okay. Crystal Mendoza says, thanks. She appreciates your Flippinars. She's new to the platform. So, hey, Crystal, thanks for joining us and watch those videos. Peter says he's getting some bandit signs tomorrow to start taking action. Where are the best places to put it, If I can't find other bandit signs, I'm sure there's a video for that.
He means where's the best place to place signs?
If he can't find other bandit signs, right?
In
the same area.
Yeah. Now, what city was it? Did he say his city?
He did not.
Okay. Guys, when you ask a question, if you'll tell us what city you're in, that'll help us out. Sometimes that'll help me with the answers also. If you're in a fairly large city, there are going to be areas where bandit signs exist. It just may not be in a comfort zone for you. You may have to get outside your comfort zone. But if you don't see any bandit signs, sometimes it's not an option. But you can still test. Don't go crazy with them. Put 5 out in the area. Normally, this is how it works in most cities. The hood areas, you can get away with them, and you just start going up from there. You know, the next level above the hood, the next level, and at some point, you're going to get where you don't see any. So that's normally how it works. The blue collar / hood areas is normally where you're going to see bandit sign. That's normally how it works for most cities. Not all, but for most cities. So you start, quote unquote, if you want to call that the bottom, I'm not going to call them, but some people do. Then that's where you'll probably need to start, you know, to search. And now I've done over the years, 85% of my deals in those questionable, what they call war zone areas. You don't have to do the same at all, but the checks still spend the same.
All right, Mr. Pete from Polk County, Florida, asks, how long should you continue to mail the same direct mail list?
You know what? What I've found, you know, being persistent in this business goes a long way. Now, when you say the same list, now after probably 6 months, you can use the same criteria, and it should have changed depending on the county you're dealing with and how often they update their information. So I would say every 6 months I would update that list, but you can continue to mail to that list because people's situations change. People die, people lose their jobs, people get sick. You know, when you contacted them originally, none of those things were happening in their lives, but now, you know, life, man, creates opportunity for all of us. We're preyed on, and just being real, we prey on others. You know, just that's the capitalistic society that we live in. Makes it spin around. So I like a couple of deals that I picked up recently through Find Seller. That technique that I use from findsellers.net is that they're dealing with us. And when I say us, because I had a couple of students to help me with it, that they're dealing with us, and they said they got a pile of postcards there because they've been keeping them. They've been getting them from other wholesalers / investors, probably outside my market and obviously in my market, but they've never called the number. But because we picked up the phone and called them, you know, they think we've done something special. Now, one guy, he told us what he wanted for the property. I already knew the price was going to work. You know, that price worked, you know, but I wanted to drive by it. My student is in Arizona that was making the calls for me, and the seller's in California, the house is here in Birmingham. And so we called him back within an hour within 2 hours after the conversation. And he was like, oh, you know, he didn't know we were going to do that. You know, we were going to agree. So he called a couple of the guys, postcards. They've been mailing them postcards, and they tried to lowball. He called them back, so we're going to roll with us. So, you know, we still got to get him to sign the contract. As date of this video, we submitted the contract to him last night. So hopefully we'll get it back, you know, over the weekend or by Monday. So, but anyway, my point being is that, yeah, you just keep pounding them, you know what I'm saying? But not just that list. You want to hit other areas and other criteria on property. So here we go from Instagram. I live in Atlanta. I want to start taking action. What's the first thing I should do? Should I get a team together or just start putting up bandit signs? Well, first thing I would recommend you do, go to YouTube and do a search for my video called The Top 5 Mistakes Newbies Should Avoid Wholesaling Houses. Top 5 mistakes newbies should avoid wholesaling houses. So that's the first thing I would do and dive into more of my videos. But a team, you don't need a team. You are your team. As far as like an attorney or a realtor, well, who else do they say you need? A contractor. hogwash. That's seminar talk. You don't need any of that. And you'll see why if you watch that particular video. So put your bandit signs out, but understand there's a method to the madness. You just don't put them out. There needs to be some strategy behind it. Don't go crazy with put them all out once. The worst thing you want to happen is put them all out and they all come down. So you want to stagger them to see how long those are staying up, maybe 20 or so, 1 week, 20 or more, and just keep adding on. So what we got? Well, we got to wind this down. Hey, we've done good, I think.
Okay. Mr. Wilson in Riverdale, Georgia asked probably what a lot of people want to know. Do you have to get an LLC? And if you do, before or after your first deal?
The way I answer that question is if you have it in your budget, when I mean that, you can still do your marketing, add on the LLC and whatever, then do it. But don't wait till that happens to get a motion and start talking to sellers. You can do deals in your name. I still do deals in my name and my LLC. It just depends. So no, you don't have to wait till you get an LLC, in my opinion. Some people may say something different, but that's just me, so.
All right. We got some people that are just joining. This video will be posted as soon as it closes, so you can go back and rewatch it because I'm seeing some repeat questions. So guys, you're going to have to go back and watch the video and some of these questions will be answered. So I need 2 really good questions that haven't been asked, and those would be our closeout questions. But for right now, I'll go ahead and say, let's see here. You spoke about bandit signs and you told them not to put them all, and you said there was a video, but just give me the best day of the week. Is it Friday to put up?
In my opinion, the best day of the week is Sunday morning, number 1, Saturday morning, number 2, and then maybe Friday evening, number 3. Now I put them out every day of the week. What I do now, what I did for years is put them out myself. Got a little smarter, sort of. I thought about this years ago, just never put it into play. But I just drive guys around now. Smartphones allow you to do a lot of stuff, So I just drive my guy around now. We put out about 30 signs a day. That's about 3 hours of work. I pay him $10 an hour. I know everybody can't afford to do that, but you may have a relative or a child or boyfriend or girlfriend, someone that either drive you around or you drive them around. The purpose of me driving him around is that now we can get into spots that I may normally couldn't get in because there wasn't anywhere for me to park, without, maybe causing some issues with traffic. So now I can just drop him off, circle the block, and then come back and pick him up or whatever. And it's just more efficient. I can get more done in those time frames. So, but again, just to answer the question, Sunday would be number 1, Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, early Saturday morning would be number 2, and then Friday evening, in my opinion, but I put them out every day in reality.
Okay, you put them out every day. Should they have the word cash on it to get more eyeballs, or just simply we buy houses?
Both work. Just understand the more words you put on it, the more less visible it is, depending on the size of the sign, obviously. So I just keep it simple. We buy houses, phone number. Maybe I put a small strip with my website address or whatever. That's in, you have to be in closer to see that, but just keep it simple. I know you want to be different from everyone else. If you're going to be different, in most cases, but I see them a lot around here local, so I'm assuming they're being done all over, in other markets because I put those videos out there. But I'm a white background with red first, blue second. And I do a combination of both. They're a little bit more expensive to do 2 colors on white background, but according to what I've been told by sign experts, is that the human eyes are attracted to red first and blue second.
All right. Kevin asked, and he's asked a few times, he says he's trying to find out if you know a buyer, how do you pitch your sell to them? I don't think it should matter. You pitch them the same way you pitch it to anyone else, but he didn't ask me. So what's the answer?
You don't really pitch, like you either pick up the phone and call them, or you can just text them and let them know, hey, I got this property. Guys, trust me, you don't have to try to sell to these guys. If you have something they want, they will beg you not to show it to anyone else. You have the advantage, but it has to be a great deal, you know, so, but you don't want to be dependent on one buyer. I made that mistake when I first got started, and you don't want that to happen either. So if he doesn't want it, that's fine. You move on. You know, that's the beauty of this business, guys. It's your control. Everything you control, either they're going to do it your way, hey, or next. That's the best word in this business, next. And, well, check is the best word. Next would be second, I guess. Oh, I'm sorry, cash check is the best 2 words, and then next will be third.
Okay. So what we got? Well, we're at the end, and I'm actually seeing repeats. So yeah, guys, once Iman, he answered your question about the credit. So just play back. I will use, Angelo King says, can we use Zillow to get leads and contact sellers? And the next question, just go ahead and ask it. Does a successful deal have to start with a distressed property?
Well, what was the first part of the question?
Can you use Zillow to get leads and contact sellers?
Yeah, you can use Zillow. Now they're going to be listed properties there through realtors, but there'll be for some for sale by owners there also. So yes, I understand that the properties advertised is a different animal, especially on Zillow. So whenever your buyers go do their due diligence, they Google the address, it's going to pop up with that contact information of that seller and or a listing agent. So understand that. So you're going to have to have the right type of buyer for those types of properties. What was the second part of it?
Does a successful deal have to start with a distressed property or just a motivated seller?
A motivated seller. If the property is distressed, fine. If it's livable, fine. It doesn't matter. It starts with a seller being motivated. That's it. That's it. Now, because it may need a lot of repair, that may be their reason for motivation, but that's not always the situation. So it starts with a motivated seller. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this tonight. I think we've dove into this deep tonight, and we surprised it. Goldman Powell, surprise. So again, guys, we appreciate everyone showing up. I'm glad to have my executive producer back, you know, doing her thing. She makes this work so much better when I'm trying to do it by myself or whatever. And so it reduces the it reduces some of them. I know I still get a lot of that in, but remember, next week we'll be back on Thursdays. So tell a friend, family member, whoever you care about, even those that you do not care about. Share this on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Like it, subscribe to YouTube. Turn on the notifications so you are alerted whenever new videos, I upload new videos, and when I go live on YouTube, especially the Flippinars on Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. on the West Coast. So again, the replay will be back up. Share this for us and take advantage of the 200 plus videos. And if you need a coach with step-by-step courses, flipman.net. And we will see you guys on the flip side. Adria, if you'll hang around for a second.
All right.